What's up guys, welcome to Found Flicks. It's time for one last trip to Bridgeville, Maine in the season finale of The Mist. All of the survivors have converged at the mall, but in the end, is it worth the lackluster journey it took to get here? Not exactly. At first, I was glad to see the episode was written by Christian Torp, the showrunner and creator of the show. I figured if anyone would really be able to get into the heart of the story and really delve into the big ideas at play, it would be him. Apparently I was wrong, because he more or less decides to take a fat dump over one of the main ideas we've seen in the show, that the mist is Mother Nature turned rotten as believed by Mrs. Raven. And in the finale, it's basically revealed that Mrs. Raven is just a crazy old coot and never knew what she was talking about. She starts trying to tell the others at the mall about the Black Spring and all that, but as she starts rambling about the bear story she told a few weeks back, they quickly lose interest in what she's saying and move on. I thought this was actually kind of funny, and the twist would be fine in theory, except that in this case it totally undoes the logic of so many aspects of what we've seen. If the mist isn't Mother Nature, then why did it kill the priest and not Mrs. Raven? It still could be tied to sins, as Mrs. Raven hadn't really gone off the deep end at that point, but that and many other developments are completely thrown out of the window, because after the twist, it feels like almost nothing we saw earlier even matters in retrospect. And pretty much everything we learned about the mist is now incorrect, so we literally know nothing about it after an entire season telling us things are one way. Regardless, let's go ahead and look at the finale episode and see how things turned out for everyone in the end. Jonah is still tied up with Wes, that other guy from Arrowhead, after it was revealed Jonah is his superior officer. At first, it seemed like they actually were going to go to Arrowhead, and I was genuinely surprised that we might actually see something happen there. But of course, they don't even leave the mall until way later. But we do find out that Dr. Brune, I believe, is the name of the female scientist we saw in Jonah's memory, and she is the one responsible for Jonah still being alive. And apparently he's been working at Arrowhead for 8 years. So the mist has been in development by them for quite some time, because now it does seem like Arrowhead is once again behind the mist. He does end up going with Wes, giving a curt goodbye to Mia on the way out. So much for running away together and all those scenes that made them seem like they cared about each other. Then with Kevin, we do get the big confrontation between him and Adrian, but it also feels like a cop-out because there's no conclusion. Kev comes across Adrian in a store beating the absolute crap out of him, which is well deserved. But Adrian gets away, setting a fire, ending up in the back seat of Jonah and Wes's car on the way to Arrowhead. So all of that big decision stuff for Kevin to kill Adrian or not, having to search his soul to face the evil side of himself, or any of that big character stuff coming to any kind of conclusion? Nope. Meanwhile, the idiots in Gus's mall group are down to their final rations, and it looks like all hell is about to break loose. I also have to say, it's brought up that it's been 5 days since the mist showed up. 5 days! Not even a week, and these people are all ready to collapse into total anarchy. The human body can survive without food for 3 weeks, so how is it even possible that things could degrade this quickly? Unless they're just a bunch of big fat babies. The group does have momentary hope when Connor shows up, asking him if help is coming, but he's only here for his son, as he and Raven continue to believe that Jay sexually assaulted Alex, and the key to stopping the mist is sacrificing Jay. He and Gus make a grubby deal to give him Jay, and Connor isn't interested in helping Alex and Eve, who have also been locked up after last week and are set to be sent out into the mist to die. Connor and Raven escort Jay to the front doors of the mall, and Connor tries to convince him to go outside by repeatedly telling him to trust him. Jay eventually does get pushed through the doors, and guess what? Nothing happens, because they were wrong about Jay assaulting Alex, and also even more likely because none of that plot line matters anymore. Later, the mall group rounds up Alex and Eve, ready to send them into the mist for what Alex supposedly did, and no one ever finds out that it was Gus that killed Shelly, another comeuppance that would have been satisfying that we of course don't get to see. We just see him filing away somewhere in the mist, and that's the end of Gus in the show. Connor and Raven join the group, and Eve asks Connor for help, but no one is going to help them. In desperation, Eve reveals to the group that she was already pregnant with Alex when she met Kevin, and that Connor is Alex's father. Oh, so that's why she was so crazy about keeping Jay and Alex apart, since they're, related? Ugh, why even go there with this plot? Sure, it's a surprise, but it's so random and without any context. It was literally just included to explain Eve's weird behavior all season, and rather than just be straight with her daughter, she chose to hide the truth this whole time. No one in the group, including Connor, believe her, calling her a liar, with the other random extras in the group chiming in with lines like, "You're both freaks!" Who the heck are you, lady? Just as the two start their walk towards the doors, Kevin shows up ready to start some shit, punching the security guy when he finds out what's going on. Kevin at least gets to look kind of cool here, and even after the truth about Alex's father is revealed to him, Kevin stands strong with Alex and Eve, telling the group, Fuck all of you. Nice, dude. Where was this Kevin all season? I like him. He's feisty. And they all get sent outside being watched by the group, but Alex falls behind saying she can't see. Well, it is pretty misty. Then the mist forms into a sort of smoky constrictor wrapping around Alex, going into her mouth and lifting her into the air. And the rest of the group, which couldn't be more than a few feet away, look around uselessly wondering what happened to Alex. I don't know, maybe go look for her instead of standing there. Alex is nearly dead, but luckily Jay heroically appears, tackling Alex and knocking her out of harm's way. They hug just as Kevin and the rest of the group show up in the Jeep. Then the same constrictor mist appears, wrapping around Jay, and does drain him until he dies. No one saves him. They're like, it's too late for him, and just stay back. That's cool. The only actual nice or even remotely heroic guy in the whole show gets accused of raping a girl, crapped on all season for it, then saves Alex twice, and then just dies like a chump. His death also proves that the sin thing doesn't really make any sense with the mist at this point. Jay was a nice guy and he gets killed, same as Lila, the little girl. At first I thought there would be some explanation for why Lila was taken specifically, but I guess it's just totally random. If it's your time to die in the story, the mist is gonna get you. Doesn't matter if you're good or bad, who cares? The group starts to drive off from the mall, but Kevin sees the survivor still at the door and stops the car, telling everyone to put their seatbelts on. He then throws the car into reverse, crashing through the front doors of the mall, exploding the glass, letting the mist inside, and sending the extras running for their lives. In our big sequence set to perfect day, everyone in the mall is taken out by the mist, like the security guy getting attacked by a snake, or that other lady bleeding out of her eyes, and some guy falling over the side of a stair rail for some reason. We catch up to Mrs. Raven wandering through the mist-filled mall, still convinced that she's Mother Nature's messenger and thusly safe from the mist's wrath. But she's not, as we learned, and she isn't any safer than anyone else. Her husband that was killed in the first episode shows up in the mist, holding a baby in his arms. She asks if the baby is still alive, and he apologizes to her as Raven takes the child in her arms. The baby then comes alive, and she begins to nurse it. And the baby drains the life from her nip, and she rots away into a weird skeleton form, embracing her husband. So I guess this is the payoff for the weird baby noises we heard in the forest, also back in episode 1 when the two first encountered the mist. They obviously had a child that died, which I initially expected, and that thing she loves returns via the mist to take her. What a load of shit. In the final scene, Kevin's group 2.0, Alex, Eve, Connor, Vic, and Mia stop at a railroad crossing, attempting to determine their next move. Unsure of how far the mist is spread, they are distracted when a train breaks through the mist on the tracks, heading in their direction. Hoping for help, they outrun the train, getting to the station first and parking nearby. Vic just wants to run right to it, saying they could save them, but they decide to hang back for the moment, and it's a good thing they do, as the train doors open and people spill out of the cars into the mist, directed by soldiers with guns. No doubt associates of Arrowhead. Mia wonders what they are doing, and Kevin considers saying they are feeding it. I'm not sure how he comes to that conclusion, since we never really consider the mist to be feeding on its victims. But that must be what it is doing here, and the train full of people was specifically brought here by Arrowhead to feed the mist for some reason. Okay, so since the whole Black Spring thing was a crock, it looks like things are swinging back to it being Arrowhead that is actually responsible for the mist. And all the Mother Nature turned rotten, like the bugs and stuff, is just a byproduct of the mist rather than it being the mist itself. The most likely scenario at this point is that the mist was created by Arrowhead as a weapon. They must have unleashed it on the town of Bridgeville as a test to see the effects in a contained scenario, and that's what led to the events of season 1. Well, that's it, folks, the end of season 1 of The Mist. It was definitely a tough journey, and I'm honestly confused as to why they even called this show The Mist. First of all, no big badass creatures from the story. Come on, that's what everyone wanted. And then what we get instead is a third-rate human drama telling us that man is truly the evil one. Ugh, boy. It did have its moments, but the bad far outweighed the good. And the finale essentially undid the logic of much of the season. Oh well, at least we only have to wait a week or so for another Stephen King adaptation to come along. Thanks for watching along with me this season. Are there any other shows you'd like to see me do weekly videos on? What did you guys think of The Mist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching Found Flicks. See you next time.